Whatever you do, whenever you go, if your heart is not in it, something bad can happen to you. For real. I also suffer from this disease called inability to say no. I'm working on it, and so far I've made a little bit of progress. If you also struggle with saying no when you really want to say no, you can check out these 2 videos of mine on a similar topic. They're called Mother and Vivarium. So they finally came for the weekend. They brought gifts which the couple accept in a particular manner. It seems they find their gifts not thoughtful enough, maybe even silly or pointless, and it's written all over Karen's face. When someone can't be happy and pleased you gave them something, anything, especially considering that you're just starting to get to know this person, if they are very upset with your gift, I'd say that's a huge red flag. A real friend wouldn't care about gifts. Just the fact that someone thought of you and gave you something should be enough. But Karen looks as if she thinks the gifts belong in the trash can. They prepared, quote-unquote, a little bed for their guest's daughter. Louisa, understandably, did not expect that there wouldn't be an extra bed in their house. And she's clearly not okay with this. Yet, Louisa doesn't want to say anything to Karen's face, not to offend her. So she's quick to respond for her daughter.
Yes, she likes it.
Even though it's not true. And then she quietly adds to Agnes, "We'll figure it out." This way she teaches Agnes to be a people pleaser, just like her. Be quiet to people's faces. Deal with whatever the problem is later, on your own. It shouldn't be awkward to express your concerns about your child's comfort. A guest basically sleeps on the floor. I remember in my family when I was little, and guests would come to stay. And by the way, we lived in a 3-bedroom flat, not a house, no extra space, but we would go out of our way to provide the best accommodation for the guests, and not the other way around. I honestly cannot imagine my mom making the bed for someone's child on the floor. That's definitely an insult to the guests, at least in my book. Patrick is offering her a slice of turkey. She protests, but then she's being convinced and convinced again, and then eventually she says yes and takes a small bite. It's even worse than saying yes straight away. Oh, Louisa. You don't do that when you're vegetarian. That's like giving up on one of your core beliefs. Louisa can't face the pressure of other people, even when it comes to an integral part of her lifestyle.
Yep.
And her husband is even encouraging her. A small bite doesn't count, honey. Just please, don't upset this Patrick guy, okay? 'Cause he's the only one who's treating me like I'm a worthy human being. I used to be a vegetarian for a few years, and I remember it was quite tricky when it came to dinners with friends and family. You kind of always have to be ready that you will have to bring your own food or cook for yourself there. Sometimes, even with people you know, they just forget, and it's not the end of the world. In fact, it's quite arrogant when people with unique preferences in food expect everyone to remember their eating preferences. It's just like when you're intolerant to some foods or allergic. You always have to remind people about it. It just becomes part of your life. That's the cost you pay. For example, I'm allergic to walnuts, and I always have to double check when it comes to cakes at birthday parties. Yes, having to do that attracts attention to you, and maybe it's not something you like if you are a shy person, but I'd rather have this inconvenient conversation with the host than be unable to breathe later and be taken to hospital. So yeah, sometimes there's no cake for me, and that's fine. But in Louisa's case, her silence can bring her to starvation. So Louisa here is also guilty. First of all, she should have reminded them about her eating preferences prior to their visit, so they could have time to prepare. Or she could have taken initiative in the kitchen and cooked something vegetarian for herself and for everyone else. But of course, if that had been the case, had she been that kind of person, nothing bad would have happened to her and her family. The Dutch family wouldn't have dared to cause them harm. They sent him to throw out the rubbish? I mean, come on. Who would ask a guest to do that? And he doesn't even know where the bins are. And there are also no bins. The bags just lie there. They'll literally do anything. The thing that strikes me about Louisa and Bjorn, they are so nice and polite and respectful to others, to their daughter as well. Yet to each other, they're like enemies, as if they're working against each other. Instead of saying something nice about her husband, Louisa mocks him in front of this couple, kind of brings him down, suggesting he's actually really stupid.
We're lucky we got the GPS, because otherwise we would have gotten lost like 20 times.
I had it under control.
No, the GPS had.
I had.
And they're not joking here, you know? You see, that's not a joke. Some couples always make fun of each other in this way, but this is not it. This is happening for real. This conversation speaks for itself. Louisa would rather die than say something nice about her husband. I seriously don't understand why some women just love to bring their men down in front of other people. That is crazy. Is that her revenge for not getting enough sex?
Jeg tror ikke, jeg synes, jeg er så ret at være. Jeg synes ikke, de er så behagelige at være sammen med.
Okay.
So Louisa doesn't feel comfortable around them, and for good reason. She says she wants to leave, but he doesn't want to. Karen invites them to dinner, and Bjorn accepts the offer without even looking at his wife.
That sounds good.
He's accepting on behalf of them both, even though she has just expressed her intention to leave. And then he expects her to be okay with going to dinner. He's not asking her. He's deciding for her. And she's just standing there silent. It's as if she has no energy to stand her ground and literally use her voice. She feels obliged to go because he already said they'll go. Come on, Louisa, why do you care so much what these unpleasant human beings think of you? You already don't like them. Then their opinion of your behavior matters. How exactly? They don't live in the same country as you, come on. But she's so preoccupied with how things look that she agrees. When Karen invited them to dinner, she omitted a few important details, which made Louisa and Bjorn to act on the spot. As they get ready to leave for the restaurant, they realize that the kids are not going with them. Oh, didn't I tell you? And they're leaving their daughter with the man they see for the first time in their life, making them feel that they can't choose, that they have no option. They don't understand the menu and they can't really explain what they will be eating.
Let me take care of you guys.
And remember, I'm a vegetarian.
She waits until the order has been made to remind them that she's a vegetarian. Perfect timing, Louisa. Patrick starts mocking her, meaning she's pretentious.
And the way the fishing industry works and how we treat the oceans is not affecting the climate?
He's attacking one of the spouses to see if the other one will come to their defense.
But it's better for the environment.
She defends herself, explains herself. Never defend, never explain yourself when someone talks to you like that. They are not interested in you and what you think. They want to make you feel like a fool and feel better about themselves.
Well, I would like to propose.
And the husband goes along with it. It's fine by him. Patrick is now more precious to him than his own wife, the mother of his child. Truly, he is a man only on the physical level. Even if he agrees with Patrick on the issue of her diet being useless on a large scale, still, he should side with his wife always, because it's his wife and she's been attacked verbally. But this friendship that he aspires to have with this man is so meaningful to him that everything else can wait. Bjorn can't hide his fascination with this couple, their ability to be open, free, to be themselves. as if there are no rules for them, as if they don't feel the weight of the expectations from society. To Bjorn, they look full of life, something that he thinks his marriage lacks. He's always suppressing his true feelings, because he's a coward. That's the reason why he feels dead on the inside. It's his own fault and no one else's. Louisa even agrees to dance, but then Patrick and Karen start making out and behaving inappropriately for a public place, and it makes them feel uncomfortable. But of course they say nothing. Then the men go to pay the check, and Patrick is looking at the check and says, "Wow, someone has had a good time," as if it was him and Louisa who ordered the most expensive dishes, even though they didn't even pick their orders themselves. The Dutch couple did it for them. Bjorn can't tell whether this is a joke or not, and he suggests they split the bill. When Karen invited them, they assumed it would be the Dutch family's treat. Nothing wrong with splitting the bill too, but making him pay for the whole bill? They do it every time. They make them feel uncomfortable, testing how much they will tolerate.
So the dinner is on us? Oh, that's so kind.
Again, he says nothing, swallows anything this guy offers. Isn't it a bit too much, Bjorn? Even if it's a cultural thing and they didn't mean really invite, as in they didn't intend to pay for them, then it means half and half, which would be also acceptable, but to just make them pay for the whole thing while they are their guests? How much longer will Bjorn continue making excuses for Patrick? Where is his limit? There's also insecurity in Bjorn that stops him from taking action. He doesn't want to have this serious conversation because he's afraid of the consequences. He thinks that if he shows his teeth even just a little bit, if he actually speaks his mind and protects his boundaries, then these new people would turn away from him, from them, that everything would be ruined. Low self-worth in Bjorn is creating these destructive circumstances. This film is chilling and terrifying because of how real everything that's happening on the screen is. Louisa and Bjorn are nice, friendly people, and that's great, and that's who they are, and they feel comfortable being this way, but they need to learn that they can only be their true selves with people who respect them, their values, priorities, and boundaries. Those who continuously step over your boundaries don't have the right to be in your life. They listen to music way too loud. Louisa is not happy about it.
Turn down the fucking music!
She starts shouting angrily, but what's the point? If the music is so loud, no one can hear her. When the music is off, she's quiet.
I'm so sorry.
I truly apologize. I'm so sorry.
But these are just words, only said to repeat this behavior a bit later. Patrick is coming in and brushing his teeth, although he can see that she's taking a shower. She says nothing and doesn't even mention it to her husband. Then she sees the opportunity to have sex. This is a very rare thing for them because when their daughter is knocking on the door, they don't stop. How badly must Louisa lack her husband's touch if she's not letting her daughter in? It's because she knows she might not get another chance with her husband soon.
Again, yeah.
Something's wrong? Yes! Everything. And it's not the first time she's telling Bjorn about this, but he keeps ignoring his wife's wishes, and she keeps complaining, and then reluctantly, silently agreeing with him. Therefore, he doesn't take her seriously. Had she really stood her ground at least once, he would have had no other option than to respect her desires. He deliberately takes too long on the squeaky steps, so that they would wake up and stop them and start convincing them to stay. Agnes forgot her toy bunny again, and this could be a good lesson for her to take care of her belongings in the future. But great opportunity to go back, right, Bjorn? Turns out that the bunny was in the car all alone. Or was it Bjorn who sneaked it in? Now that he went into the house, he feels obliged to explain why they left and say goodbye to them properly. Why is this so important? It's not like they will bump into each other tomorrow in the supermarket. They actually live in another country. Louisa goes in to say to her husband that they found the bunny and hears that he's talking to Patrick. Bjorn still wanted to go home. And maybe had she listened to him and actually waited in the car, everything might have been okay. It looks like he was going to explain why they are leaving and say goodbye, and then they would go home. Too bad Louisa never listens to her husband, doesn't see him as a man. Therefore, she will do the complete opposite. Bjorn and Louisa make the worst couple. A cowardly man with pent-up desires to be someone bigger and stronger and experience real life, and a people-pleasing wife who is completely incapable of saying no to anyone. She probably can't even pass a tramp on the street without giving him money.
So many things have felt so wrong.
Then they start complaining to them about them, which is the worst thing they could come up with. Either say that you don't like something when it happens, or just don't say anything at all. Why complain now? They are leaving, right? Right? It seems that they're trying to find a reason to stay. Karen and Patrick look surprised, say they're sorry and that they wanted the best for them.
Today is gonna be a great day.
Bjorn and Louisa think that now that they have expressed their opinion about everything, things would change. But they are so wrong. They only agreed to have it even worse.
Is it okay if I turn on the radio?
Oh yeah, of course.
It won't hurt to be polite for a while.
Too many rules, I guess. Claustrophobic, you know? And I'm so tired of smiling all the time.
Just talking openly about his feelings was everything that he needed. Strange that out of all people, he chose this guy to talk about it, and not his wife. He's afraid that Louisa is not going to accept him if he says that he's not actually the person he tries to appear. But what if his worries were unfounded? What if he shared his feelings with her and she would say that she feels relieved because she too is exhausted of playing her role? When you're going through something hard, share it with your spouse. Be together in it. The more you wallow in your miserable thoughts alone, the further away you distance yourself from your partner. It's like preparing the ground for future problems, and that's exactly what they did. In the case of this family, the cracks in their relationship brought this trouble in the form of this psycho, murderous Dutch family. And now he's taking him outside to scream. He told him about his feelings. He unloaded on him emotionally, and now Bjorn feels really good. It's a temporary relief, of course, but it still feels good, and now he feels good about Patrick too, because he made it happen.
It's good that we have a doctor in the house.
I'm not a doctor.
So, turns out he's not a doctor.
I've never worked. I don't believe in working.
When they learn the truth, they say nothing. They try to laugh it off. Reasonable question would be, how do you guys support yourselves? You have a house, a child, yet they're too polite to ask, or scared to learn the truth.
Kijk naar de voeten!
Please, honey, make this man happy. He still can't let go of this fantasy idea of him as his friend.
You can't talk to him that way. What is wrong with you?
Louisa also has so much anger inside, pent-up emotions. she needs to release them in some way or another. She's also keeping everything inside. How do they even live this way? I have no idea. I thought they would go home right this second, but no, they stay. Bjorn finally wakes up from his dream, and all he wanted was a friend. After seeing all that, he wakes his wife up, yet not telling her what happened. Just like he didn't tell her about Abel's tongue. Why? Because they literally don't talk and don't trust each other. Maybe he thought she wouldn't believe him.
I still have more family. I just want to go home.
What happened to Louisa, Bjorn, and their daughter Agnes wasn't unexpected. Everything they did or didn't do led them to this sad outcome. There are absolutely no limits to their boundaries. They don't have it in them to fight when the real danger comes close, because they can't even fight the smallest things, the smallest arguments. When their boundaries were being tested, when strangers invaded their privacy, when their values, genuine or fake, doesn't matter, still values, were mocked, they were just like Abel the whole time, despite being adults and having intact tongues. But they did nothing. So that's all I have to say about this film. I will link some of my other videos on similar topics in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with another video very soon. Bye!
Why are you doing this? Because you let me.